Okay, morning. I would like to call the Municipal District of Taber November 25, 2025 regular meeting of council to order at 9 a.m. We have an agenda in front of us. Is there any additions or deletions to this agenda? Arliss?
It's not necessarily an addition or a deletion. We just noticed that with respect to item 9.6, titled Town of Taber Regional Wastewater ACP Grant Application, we accidentally, from a agenda matters perspective, I accidentally duplicated the Town of Vauxhall Wastewater RFD for that.
Oh, yeah.
So if there's an opportunity, like in the meantime, we can update the agenda to reflect the appropriate RFD. But in fairness to council, I would like maybe, if you're open to it, to take your time on that so that you can have a chance to review it before you consider it.
Sure. So we'll give council adequate time to read the updated RFD, but this is a request for support, not a request for a letter or request for financial commitment. So we'll give council time to read it, but I don't feel it changes it. And the attachment is correct. The community partnership is correct. Is that one correct? That one? On just the RFD.
The attachment A is correct.
Yes,
it's just the RFD I
okay.
Put in the wrong one.
That's fine. So council, you're good with that? We'll just take the time to read the motion.
And then we'll note as much on the website afterwards.
Okay. So with that,
I can accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Any questions? Those in favor? The agenda is accepted. Any declarations of conflict? Seeing none, we'll go on to protocol items. And I'll do a couple and then I'll turn it over to another counselor. So just a reminder, it's a recorded meeting. So there's a couple of upcoming dates that are important for our region. Tuesday, December 2nd is the Taber Food Bank Stuff-A-Bus. December 4th in Vauxhall is the Chamber of Commerce and Vauxhall Egg District Snowflake Frolic. And December 6th is our MD of Taber Regional Fire Department Candy Cane Food Drive in our hamlets and in the adjacent communities that we serve. And then another important one to mark your calendar is the 33rd Retlaw service at their church on December 15th. So those are you'll be able to find all of those events on our social media, but they're also important for the public to attend and support. These are all volunteer, community driven. And then is there any other announcements or recognitions?
Vauxhall Ag Society and Vauxhall Chamber of Commerce. Ripfest, they announced their volunteer of the year, which was Judy Leeson. Put in a lot of hours helping out with the multi-purpose building and the rodeo grounds and has a passion for that and put a lot of time volunteering there. And Vale was named Business of the Year. And they do a lot of community work, a lot of business, and then a lot of customer service and at local events and donate a lot of time.
Thank you. Any other announcements or recognitions? Okay, we'll continue on to the minutes. So confirmation of minutes for November 12th, 25, regular meeting of council.
I give a motion to accept the regular meeting of council November 2nd, 2025 meeting minutes as circulated.
Double check. Is your date right or my date right? Okay. He meant to say 12th instead of 2nd. Oh. Yeah, it's okay. It's all good. Any questions or comments? Those in favor? That's carried. November 12th, public hearing meeting minutes for bylaw number 2023. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Those in favor? That's carried. The November 12th public hearing minutes for bylaw number 2024. Councillor Condor, any questions? Those in favor? That motion is carried. Okay, number 6, public engagement process, call for people to speak. Seeing no one in the gallery, we have no one online who's requested to speak. Okay, and on to delegations. RCMP, Sergeant Gimmel, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm here to present the October 2025 stats for my detachment. Last month, we responded to 122 calls for service, and 103 of those were within the MD. We had zero impaired drivers last month. We had 16 criminal code violations reported to us last month, and 14 were within the MD of Taber. We had 5 911 hangups, and 4 were within the MD of Taber. We did 30 criminal records checks and 2 fingerprints for the general public. Going down to patrols, we did 8 patrols of Enchant, 19 patrols of Grassy Lake, and 8 patrols of Hayes for 35 Hamlet patrols. We did 1 patrol of the MD Park, 1 patrol of the Forks, 2 of Enchant Campground for 4 campground patrols. We did 88 patrols within the MD of Taber. Last month, we only wrote 4 traffic violations, and they were all within the MD of Taber, and traffic services wrote none. We're dealing with some vacancies, and yeah, we're getting through it. Should be better in the new year. Persons crimes, going down to the provincial crime gauge, this is this year as compared to last year. Persons crimes are up 79%. Property crime is up 16%. Other criminal code has seen no change. Break and enters have gone down 15% or seen 3 fewer instances. Theft of motor vehicles are up by 1, and theft under 5,000 has seen 8 more instances, so a 40% increase. Going down to my comments, we laid charges in 5 criminal investigations during the month of October. Property crime in October was as follows. There were 3 reports of break and enter. 1 was to a solar farm, another to a remote oil lease site, another to an outbuilding on a farm. Charges were laid in the outbuilding to the farm break and enter. There was 1 fraud. There were 2 reports of mischief. Both were in regards to gathering at the Chamberlain School after hours. The culprits were identified, but the school district didn't want to pursue charges. We warned them, and I'll be kept in mind during future patrols. There were 3 reports of theft. 1 is still under investigation, and the other was cleared using restorative justice. And in what was a highlight of my career, I swore this council in last month. That's what's been going on at my office. Are there any questions or concerns?
Councillor Chikado.
Just a comment, I guess. I've received a number of calls about racing on 9-4. Seems any of our paved surfaces draw some unwanted attention for certain activities, and the response by the RCMP was very good. I know that on weekends I've noticed the cruiser there. It's very helpful. It really is at deterring that. I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't do that when I was young, but I didn't do it where there's high population.
Yeah.
And this is an area where there's a lot of homes.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that activity. I really
Yeah.
don't. And so I think it's very good what you guys have done, and I give you accommodations for that.
Oh, thank you.
And along that same line, we had a resident who has some concerns about the donuts and high rates of speed entering into the MD of Taber Park. And they were very pleased with your response to them. And they also, their main concern is that those donut layers don't get hurt. They recognize there's kids, but it's a high risk coming over that hill.
Absolutely.
And so we really appreciate the detachment's response to not only our concerns, but our residents' concerns.
More than welcome.
We also were fortunate at RMA to have a meeting with K Division, which we were able to express our gratitude for your community involvement. It was quite impressive to see the Red Surge accompany the mayor through the town of Taber at Remembrance Day. It highlights the working relationship between the local jurisdiction and the MD's police of jurisdiction. Highlights to people so many aspects that you bring to our communities, and that's just one of many. And then just some concerns about the large area that the RCMP cover. We appreciate the work that you've done and understand that anytime there's an opportunity to improve response times, K-Division and yourselves will work towards that. So thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you. So at this time, I ask for a motion to receive Sergeant Gimmel's RCMP report.
I can give you a motion to receive the RCMP report.
Any questions? Those in favor? That's carried. Okay, the consent agenda, and just a reminder that when items are in the consent agenda, if you'd like to discuss them further or you'd like to have further action, then we just ask for them to be moved out of the consent agenda and they're dealt with at the bottom. So I will turn it over to Arliss and just to go through these 3 items. Well, 2 are this.
So the first one, referencing correspondence as well as the initiative that the province is pursuing with respect to the provincial electoral boundaries redo, with some timelines and deadlines with respect to potential written submissions, if so desired. So our boundary is specific to the MD of Taber, is looking to be changed based on the report. But this is here for council to consider or not consider, or speak to or not speak to. So
Okay. Go
I
ahead.
would encourage everybody to look at the boundaries. The ones proposed for us is a little bit ridiculous in size, and is not representative to our area. I think the one we currently have has been the most representative I've seen. It would be nice if the entire MD was included in ours, but what they've got proposed, I think, is problematic. And I would encourage everybody to have a look at it, and maybe I'll make a motion on this, but we pull it out of the consent agenda to do so.
Thank you. And just for context, MD of Tabor has a motion on the books that we attended the initial round of boundaries. And what we asked for is opportunity to have enough time to review and reflect. So pulling it out of the consent agenda is the right idea. Okay, Old Man Watershed annual report and membership fee.
yes, so there's 2. They're essentially listed as 2 items, but they came together. The report that they provided was accompanied with the request for a membership fee. Typically, if requests like this come and we don't have it necessarily budgeted, it comes to council to be considered or reviewed. In 2025, we have not budgeted for contribution to this group. In years past, we have contributed, and that could be just a simple not being in our notes perspective. There's money in the budget if needed, or if council deems necessary, but it's kind of been an off and on scenario. Some years we contribute, some years we don't.
Go ahead.
So the protocol is to pull this out of consent and put it on the agenda for further discussion then?
Yeah.
If we want to have follow-up on this.
Yep.
So I request that we do that then.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we would receive the consent agenda and request that electoral boundaries and the Old Man Watershed report and fee be discussed at the exemption. So someone willing to make that motion?
I can make that motion.
Okay. Councillor Tory to remove those 2 items and receive the consent agenda. Any questions? Those in favor? That's approved. We'll deal with those at a later time. Number 8, upcoming meetings and events.
So we have some events posted here, and typically take the opportunity to, if there's a potential RSVP that's missing to some of them, we'll take that feedback now from particular specific counselors. Another, excuse me, request that's been brought to us is a request to have a joint council meeting with the Taber District Housing Foundation, wanting to provide municipalities with all of the member municipalities with some updates. We've included some dates in here that have come from them, being December 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. And they've suggested kind of a later afternoon or evening time. I don't have an exact time, but thought I'd quickly survey availability for a couple of those dates, and then I can respond back to Taber District Housing Foundation. Looking at the calendar.
And they're thinking like 5 o'clock.
Yeah, late afternoon, early evening is what I understand.
Okay. So I mean, the 4th is out because we have coffee with council and the frolic. I have a meeting. I'd rather do it on a day we're already here.
Yeah, there's some time.
Yeah,
Council's here on the
2nd.
9th. Or the 2nd, yeah.
Do people have other commitments the 2nd or the 9th?
Yeah, I can be available both of them.
The schedule isn't a problem. I'm wondering if it would be appropriate for us while we're getting together to also combine this with social or
Mhm.
get to know the other councils.
Yeah.
Expand the purpose of the event
I think that's a
to
good
tackle
idea. We-
both of them.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be appropriate for us to extend that invitation and take the lead on it. But
Yeah, so whatever day we land on, we can plan for that. for sure.
So with this council in attendance, and of course we'll check with Councillor Peters, but do you have a preference of the 2nd or the 9th? Maybe the 9th gives people a little bit more lead for those other councillors. Would people be good with that? How about you, Councillor Reynolds? So if we do the 9th with a dedicated time for Taber and District Housing, then followed by a bit of a social with councils.
Yep, that sounds good.
Okay, yes, Councillor Carl.
Just the 9th, I have to leave by 5, so.
Okay. So that day, yeah, maybe we can. Are you okay if we go ahead and see what we can figure out for timing for the other councils as well? Or is there a different day that's better?
Nope, that'll work.
Okay,
I'm available all day, I just have to leave by 5.
right.
We could have the 9th, we could identify the 9th or the 10th, and then whatever works best for the group, let you know accordingly, just to have two options
Yeah,
for them.
So the 10th, which I didn't put into community notes, is the Kiwanis Music Festival.
okay.
And that will include some of all well, maybe not Vauxhall Council, but I know for sure some members from Barnwell, Taber, and ours.
Okay.
And the 10th right now is a holding place, right? So we're,
We'll shoot for the 9th and get it organized.
if it can work. And I'm sure they're trying to get it done before the new year, but it's tough. Yes, Council.
No, and I thought I responded, I'll be here for the pictures, but I see I'm not on there, but I will be here that day.
Yep, we'll add it.
And then we'll just send you those other community events. And as soon as you know for RMA, Lace probably has those rooms booked, but we heard that it was an issue already. So just let her know so she can either book or release rooms. Okay, anything else that we're missing? And for those extra dates I added, I'll send Lace an email just for community events. Okay, with that, a motion to receive the upcoming meetings and events. Thank you. Let's also make a motion to host a joint council social following the Tabor and District Housing meeting. Okay, thank you. Deputy Reeve Johnson, just so it's on the books. Any questions? Those in favor? It's carried. I don't want to rush you, but just when we're ready, we'll move into enhancing local government transparency.
So this is a memo that administration put together. Just some background information, potential research, some research, potential opportunities. The attached spreadsheet or chart is just there for contextual information, not to indicate any sort of potential direction in any way. But this is here for in follow-up to the resolution that was made at the last council meeting.
So when I read the memo, it discusses, to improve transparency, there's a option that you could record and make live all of our MD of Tabor Council committee meetings. I think at initial intention, there was discussion on having committee of the whole either recorded or live and recorded, because we've heard comments that people feel that it's not as transparent as it could be. So at this time, I welcome any council discussion on whether or not we would like to pursue this.
I'd like to propose a motion that the MD of Tabor record all future committee of the whole meetings for broadcast on the MD's YouTube channel, and that this take place as soon as reasonably possible. And again, the rationale for the change is recording the meetings would allow for more transparency by the public. And I can forward this motion to Lace if that works.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor, so we can take time now to either discuss that, the motion, or the context of the memo that's been provided. Councillor Condor.
I finally went through them committee of the whole. It's no different than I think these ones, so I have no problem with recording it.
Okay.
Would there be a difference between recording and live streaming, or is it the same? Because recording is one thing where they're not able to watch it while the meeting is happening. Live streaming is, it is out there and they're able to watch it in real time.
I guess my rationale for the motion as it sits is whatever's easier for administration and for the IT department. So if it's easier just to record, then I'm okay with that. But live streaming is ideal for sure. If you want to change or amend that, I'm not opposed to that either.
Okay, I'm going to go around the room for council, especially, yeah, so we'll go around the room. I'll go to Councillor Reynolds.
I don't know, probably recording would be good enough. To me, I think, I don't know. Instead of live, don't really matter.
Doesn't matter. Okay, Councillor Tory.
I'm fine either way. Sounds great.
Okay, so, yes.
Just to clarify then, how much delay is there between recording and it being available for viewing by the public?
It'll probably get, I guess we would ask for maybe a grace of 24 hours maybe.
Okay.
Max. again, I don't want to inappropriately insert into the council discussion, but live stream versus recording. If administration, or at least I had a preference as CIO, would be live stream, simply because even the perception of recording can sometimes be received as you're recording something and then posting it later, and it wasn't a live stream initiative, but maybe it was changed in the meantime. It wouldn't be, but perception wise,
Yeah.
the public can easily get themselves to that point when dealing with government, right? So
And for good or bad, the perception can be that recorded videos have been edited.
that's exactly what I'm
And
trying
you
to
want to avoid that as well. And if it's not going to add much additional support requirements from staff, I would just as soon see us live stream it. Then there is no delay between people being aware of what the discussion was and the conversations that take place around the council table.
So if it's live streamed, then it is also recorded and stays posted, or they just live stream it?
Yeah, so live stream, you can watch it live stream. There might be like a 10 seconds delay. But it also gets recorded and then posted afterwards.
Okay.
Live stream just gives you the option of seeing it more real time.
Yep.
And avoiding that perception that even Councillor
Yeah.
Johnson kind of referenced.
Sounds great.
Yeah, we would definitely be setting a trend amongst rural municipalities when we do the comparison. That hasn't been the case. And so I think MD of Tabor has no issue. We have been transparent in our decisions. So this just will identify how transparent we are. Arliss, I have 2 questions just to remind all of us the things that are held in closed session that will not be recorded. That's my first question. And the second, if you could speak to the paragraph on the relevant resources to consider for implementation.
So what is your first question?
So
just the fact that
tell
council-
us, so it's going to be recorded, closed session will still occur, it's not recorded. Can you remind us the things that aren't discussed in open session?
Yeah, there's the potential for various different exclusions under the Access to Information Act. Some of them, I don't have them all memorized, but some
It's
of
fine.
them are with respect to personnel related matters, matters of legal privilege, potentially scenarios of investigations or audits with respect to law enforcement or other matters, intergovernmental matters from time to time, local public body confidences, third-party interests or third-party business interests.
So it would mirror the current way we do council, that council is recorded, committee of the whole would be recorded. When we go into closed session, the recording is paused or stopped. So you kind of see a black timeline on the video. And then when we rise from closed session, it resumes recording.
Actually, independent of council, just it's more in alignment. It would be in alignment with the Municipal Government Act. Council and committees of council are required to follow the Municipal Government Act. So not necessarily mirroring council, but following the requirements of the Municipal Government Act.
Thank you for that clarification. And then my second question is the relevant resources to consider for implementation.
Yeah. So two types of, or a few different types of resources are referenced, that being IT. I guess what I'm trying to say or convey in there is that it's not necessarily a straw that breaks the camel's back. That back's already broken, which is why we have already had those proposals come in the budget discussion. And then there will be just additional requirement with respect to posting. And it isn't necessarily in reference to committee of the whole, because we already do it with respect to minutes. But really, we should be posting all committees of council minutes and agendas publicly on our website. That was part of administration's suggestion of treating committees of council consistently. But regardless of whether they're live streamed or not, we need to make that, in my opinion, we need to make that move to post those committees of council meetings and agendas. I don't know, does that answer your,
Mhm.
speak to your question?
Yeah, I don't want to make it more complicated, but I felt committee of the whole. I mean, we don't do Ag Service Board, and we haven't done the municipal planning commission, which was previously known as subdivision and development.
Yeah, and just administration's perspective there was just simply to be consistent. And there's some slight different roles with respect to those committees of council, but by and large, they're actually the same in terms of providing policy recommendation. It would provide the transparent cycle or a view of the transparent or a transparent view of the cycle for policy development. But I mean, regardless of live stream or recording on the other committees of council, I guess what I'm trying to convey is that we will. It's in my opinion, we still need to post those minutes, which we do for some, but not all. Minutes and agendas. I don't need a resolution for that simply because
That's
I believe it's fairly established with respect to the expectations of the Municipal Government Act, but
okay.
more so an update on practice is all. So that will require a little more legislative resources, but through the reallocation of just tasks within the organization, not additional staffing capacity.
Okay, so in yesterday's committee of the whole, we have a recommendation for an interim budget, which increases the IT position. Was this, if we went to live stream on committee of the whole or other committees factored into that, or is this going to require an additional person?
No to your second question.
Okay,
it will, if the draft interim budget is approved, that I believe is sufficient, but not the driving force behind why we're asking for that
right,
resource.
okay,
Yeah.
but there would be adequate room
Yeah.
to manage it.
Simply because the infrastructure already exists, like the technology infrastructure already exists.
Okay,
Just the more we use it, the more chance of malfunction. That's technology.
okay. So maybe we could see the motion in front of us, and then I will give council an opportunity. So that's how the motion was read in. I've heard comments that we could add live stream, and are you willing to make that as a?
I can revise that to read instead of broadcast, live stream or live streamed.
Whatever the right language is.
I guess for live streaming.
Sure, live stream and record all future committees of the whole for the MDT. You can just go live, yeah.
That works.
Okay, council, there's the motion before you reads that the Municipal District of Tabor live stream and record all future committee of the whole meetings, and that this will take place as soon as reasonably possible. Any other comments or questions on this motion? Those in favor? That motion is carried. Moving on to request for decision, non-bylaw, economic development program update.
Excuse me.
Yeah, so Community Services prepared this request for decision, includes a few different updates and one initiative, a couple different updates, as well as 3 potential initiatives with respect to economic development. So I'll let Bryce, our Director of Community Services, as well as our Economic Development Coordinator, Caitlin Barr, speak to the request for decision.
Yeah, thanks, Arliss. Yeah, it's my pleasure to introduce. I know Caitlin has met all of council previously, but just to formally introduce Caitlin Barr as our Community Economic Development Coordinator. And so Caitlin's been with us just it's only been a month and a half all now, but we've had this taken this opportunity here today to bring forward some of the plans and some of the priorities that she's been able to identify already in her role. And so today we kind of have three tasks on the table today. We have some considerations for council for decision making with regards to some of the some identified projects that Caitlin's brought forward, as well a training opportunity that I'll let Caitlin speak to as well in detail. And I just wanted to mention that as we move forward, much of the workings that we've got in front of us today are in the form of a similar to a priority setting, strategic priorities type setting. So she's chosen this platform that I feel is actually quite an effective platform, because council will get used to seeing it as part of our strategic planning exercise. So it shows the now, the next, and the future, the later type efforts as far as economic development goes. So just an excellent platform, and also that this is a work in progress. Of course, I just mentioned, we're unpacking a year's or 2 years worth of strategy and economic development information and research. So it is a work in progress, and so I'll leave it to Caitlin here. She's going to walk through the priorities, so the chart that she's produced, and some of the projects she's promoting.
Perfect, thanks. Yeah, so first I'll just go over this chart, which I think kind of builds some context as we lead into the other requests for decisions we'd like to speak to you about. So we've broken it up with now, next, later, as Bryce mentioned. What I see in the now section, which is those first 3 or 4 points, is sort of a foundation building. And in that first one, you'll see there's grant applications. So that might not be typically a part of building a foundation, but it is timely and it's time sensitive. So we'll go through that in a bit more detail later. We have our first JEDC meeting tonight, or first for myself anyways. And then over the past month and a half, I guess we've connected with a lot of our partners, and I've gotten an opportunity to meet some of our ECDev partnerships in person through a couple of conferences in Medicine Hat, and then just some one-on-one time together. And then a bit later here, we'll speak to the training for elected officials opportunity. And then just overall some background review about what the municipal district has done in the past related to economic development, and how we can build on that. Yeah, if you just want to scroll down, that'd be great. So then in the next section, I see that as sort of a discovery phase. So we've got business visitation plan, which is an opportunity for me to meet one-on-one with business representatives, operators, owners, and especially for me, it's a chance for me to come to them as opposed to them asking us to come. Sorry, I'm mixing up my words. As opposed to us asking them to come here. That's what I'm trying to say. So just showing sort of that good faith and building that one-on-one connection. Economic impact study, that's intended to capture how does the MD impact the wider regional economy. I think that'll be helpful for us to understand where we're at currently, and actually I think it'll be helpful to use in our marketing materials and our communication, so that we can really brag about what we do here and how we support the Alberta economy, the national economy, the international economy. And then finally, in the next phase, kind of understanding incentives that we can perhaps introduce or just look at in terms of a benchmarking exercise. So what do our neighbors have in terms of economic development incentives that the MD doesn't have? And that is maybe pushing potential investors to our regional neighbors rather than selecting us, and just to understand sort of more of the ecosystem that surrounds us. That will help once we head into the later section, which is still to be determined. Thanks. Okay, so I did make a quick mention in the beginning about some grant applications that are coming up. So sorry, I'm looking for it's NRED, but it's a provincial grant. Let me see, I just wrote it out here somewhere. Northern and Regional Economic Development Program. So that is a provincial government grant opportunity that the MD and the town have previously leveraged for economic development. In 2024, we received grant funding from the same funder, and the town and the MD together pursued phase 1, Think Taber, attracting global opportunities for local impact. So what that's produced in the last year has been a landing website called growintabor.ca, then a social media presence with Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, along with some marketing ads, static ads, and shortly there'll be some videos that will be published and used for marketing. The purpose of which is to grow the awareness of the MD of Taber and what we can offer in terms of workforce attraction and investor attraction. So our ask here is for council to decide whether to pursue phase 2 of this same project, which would be executed in the same manner that it was previously. So ideally, the government of Alberta, through the NRED program, would cover 50% of the project. The other 50% would be split between Town of Taber and the MD of Taber. The difference with this grant application is that, as opposed to last year when the official applicant was the Town of Taber, this year the JEDC is now a society and they can apply for the grant under that umbrella. Yeah.
So then JADC will be applying for this. So the other 2 municipalities that reside within the MD of Taber then would be beneficiaries of this as well.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, and that would be similar to how it's set up right now.
And that for past council, that was very important for MD of Taber Council, that Barnwell and Vauxhall be part of this economic development strategy. They just didn't have the resources at that time, but we felt it's a very regional approach.
Yeah.
One further question would be, how does the rebranding, and maybe you're going to get to it at some point, how does that fit into our economic development strategy going forward with the rebranding? Is this also an opportunity to rebrand, I guess, while keeping economic development, future economic development in mind?
There's no answer to that question yet, but will be considered. Like, yeah.
Just one question. Has the funds required for the MD's contribution been included already in the 2026 operating budget, or is this going to be an additional allocation required?
This is being proposed as an addition to the 2026. It'd be approval for 2026 operating budget. These just were introduced here very recent in the last couple of weeks here. So we've been trying to pivot here as to add them to the 2026 budget.
Do you want me to carry on or? Okay, yeah. So second grant application here titled Industrial Park Feasibility Study. So distinguishing these 2 grant applications, so the JEDC as a society will be applying for that first grant application that I just described, phase 2, the marketing project. The benefit of having the JEDC as a society means that the MD of Taber itself can also apply for NRED grant funding as a separate body. So what we've decided to pursue is an industrial park feasibility study. So the gist of that is, industrial development is a key opportunity to diversify our economic base. There's been discussions, administratively about what opportunity that would bring in terms of developing industrial park. We also see our neighbors having industrial parks, and we sort of wonder how does that fit in, or if that does fit into sort of the strategic economic development of the MD. So the intent of this project would be to get an external body in to help us understand and assess the full region of the MD for suitability to an industrial park, and to help us better understand the market conditions for such an effort, and give us a sense of budget and level of effort that would be required if an industrial park is well suited to the MD. So the ask here is, we've done some budget estimates and been in contact with some external parties to understand how much this has cost previously to do this same work for other municipalities. And they gave us a range of about $150,000 to $200,000. And that includes some engineering assessment involved in that. So our ask here is NRED would cover 50% of the project cost, and then the MD would need to provide 50% matching contribution at an estimated $100,000.
And that would be, just to confirm, Bryce and Caitlin, that would just be contingent upon approval, like, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I would maybe, oh, sorry.
So then that would mean that going forward, should we be successful with both these grant applications, we'd be looking at adding about $250,000 to the MD's budget for economic development purposes. Is that right? Possibly.
For these two projects, it'd be $100,000 for this particular project, and then the previous project, I believe, is $97,500. So we would be just adding those two items to our 2026 budget if approved. I would just add to that the industrial park, we've had a number of conversations and looked at some of the previous research and that. So when we were looking at projects and that and priorities, this has come up a number of times in the past as well. And just trying to cite, where is the best siting for an industrial park? What does it look like? What are the impacts to the region? Where is it best suited? And as Caitlin mentioned, it would look at the whole municipality. It would look up all the major corridors, what contributes to the best location. And so it really would give us that a sense of where that's best suited for the MD of Taber infrastructure wise, transportation, all those aspects would be taken into consideration. So
if you're interested in more details on the idea associated with this application, you can open attachment, I think it's C, and we've got just an overview of the project, why we feel it would be helpful to pursue an idea of timelines and expected outcomes.
Just a couple of questions, really. I just need to clarify in my mind, this would be an MD Taber Industrial Park. Will there be an opportunity for this project to be discussed and endorsed by the Joint Economic Committee? Because I'm wondering if we go down this path without the town of Taber, is it going to create some potential division as to where this industrial park goes, and are we going to be perceived to be competing with interests that the town of Taber might have? I just need to understand how this would work together with our partners as opposed to competing with them.
I see this as a collaborative effort, and I don't see why it wouldn't be able to be presented in front of the JEDC, and I don't see any reason why we wouldn't ask whoever the consultant is to consider opportunities to partner and work with our neighbors.
Even just to add to that, to Councillor Johnson's questions, I think I mean, there's a couple of interrelated matters later on in the agenda that could also impact these types of initiatives and it's strictly with respect to servicing, right? So there's servicing in and around Vauxhall, there's servicing in and around Town of Taber. That would be difficult to not conceive of a scenario where those aren't considered in feasibility review and study like this. But I just think naturally because of where servicing is located, there's going to be a need for collaboration and partnership. But
So from an administrative perspective, the MD of Tabor is pursuing this from the stance of NRED only allows one application per organization. But that's, from my perspective, that's simply an administrative aspect. I don't see this as something that is being done in a silo.
Is there an expectation coming out of this council meeting today that you would be given direction to move forward with an application? If that's the case, my preference would be that we first engage with the town and let them know that this is of interest, that we do have an interest in moving forward with this, but want to make sure that there's a clear understanding as to what their potential role would be. And in fact, my thoughts are that instead of being just engaging with the town, we should probably be reaching out to the town of Vauxhall as well and letting them know that this is something that we have an interest in and we're looking at this from a benefit to the region as opposed to just to the MD of Tabor.
Yes, so I have connected with the Town of Tabor's Economic Development Coordinator about this pursuit already. So that is, she's aware of that as well. And then it's timely because tonight we have our first JADC meeting where we typically have a roundtable exercise. And so my intent there was to also discuss what we're just discussing here today at council about how this presentation went, including details on this study.
I just had a question related to the engineering part. Well, two questions, but once they identify some sites in the study, will they do some geotechnical or environmental assessment? Is that what you meant by there would be some engineering built into this, or no?
No, I don't think, I don't see this as a part of, or that level of effort as a part of this budget. Certainly with this budget as well, that would take them, an engineering firm, more money.
Right.
So just truly like a high level almost desktop review assessment of tie-ins and things like that.
Okay, and then second, on the way the twinning project is of the highway going from Tabor to Burdett, there's a big chunk of land that's being kind of pulled into the area of the hamlet of Grassy Lake, because there's all this land now that's kind of cut off from the rest of the agriculture around it by this big freeway. So we have all these pieces of land to the to the southeast and southwest of Grassy Lake. I hope we're looking at some of that, especially to the east, as far as wind and noise and everything. It would be nice to have industrial to the southeast of Grassy Lake. But I think there's a huge potential, industrial park area there. And we have no good truck stops anywhere on the corridor. Like, we drive big trucks in our business, and there's nowhere convenient for our drivers to stop or fuel up or to rest or anything. And so anyway, I think there's I hope that would be part of where they would be looking.
Yeah, the intent here is within our entire boundary. And then also there's aspects to this, which I intend to have sort of some stakeholder engagement, which I think will help identify the topics that you just mentioned.
Great.
Finally here, we've got the Economic Development Alberta Economic Development for Elected Officials course. So to give some background on this, the Association Economic Development Alberta offers this course to elected officials to give elected officials a sense of economic development mandates, projects, community context, things like that, and some economic development theory. What we uncovered was that the most recent opportunity within Southern Alberta to take this course for elected officials was right around the election. And all other courses that are scheduled are much more north to us. In thinking about sort of starting off this position and with a new council, we thought there would be an opportunity for the MD of Taber to host this course and to have EDA come down in the area to help with that. I have reached out to EDA to ask about whether this is a reasonable request and what their timelines are like. So they are in the area at the end of January, and they do have a facilitator available. So it would be an in-person course. It's a full day session, 9 to 3. They are able to host up to 30 participants in the course. So one thing for council to consider would be if we do want to take part in this course, we would host it here and an opportunity for us to invite other neighboring elected officials to join as well. So the cost, the ask here is then if council just want to pursue this is, sorry, it's.
Actually, we, it was identified, Caitlin identified the cost in our memo here. But it's certainly a cost that we are going to incur through our operating budget, through our current operating budget. So it wouldn't be an ask of our budget, addition to our budget for this current year. So this would be simply something that we would do out of our current operating.
So a number of years ago, probably 6 or 7 years ago, I did take this course. I'd be more than willing to take it again. It's a very good course. It gives a lot of insight into what role elected officials have in economic development. And I found it to be very good and beneficial.
Excellent.
I'm not opposed to the course. I just am looking at the last week of January for council. We have scheduled a council meeting and 3 days of council strategic priority planning. So 4 days is a lot for us to give up. Were you thinking that one of those days could be that?
So with respect to the priority planning, it would be one of those days.
So those are
two,
just
2 days should be sufficient. So the days are already booked
Okay,
out on the calendar
I
until we finalize which days specific for each.
Okay, I
We'll
can
be able to confirm
I can
that.
work within that. I was just like, I can't give up one more day there. So council, there's been lots of information given, and thank you, Caitlin, and welcome to the MD of Taber. We're excited to have you in the role, and I know I've spoke with other councillors and they've had good engagement with you, and I'm happy to see you out in community. So that's very important. So there's 3 topics on the table right now. So council, you've been asking in the middle, but if you have any questions on either of those 3 asks, and Arliss or through Arliss to Bryce, if you guys have anything else. But right now we take council discussion, and if you look at the memo, the RFDs are outlined separately, so we could deal with each one as we go.
The only additional add I would provide, if I could verbally, would be from the funding perspective, is that we would allocate the funding or the matching portion from an MD of Taber operating reserve, or reserve for that matter, because it would be contingent upon receiving the grant from the program moving forward. So that's how you'll likely see it being presented in budget come December, if council elected to move forward with what's being proposed.
Okay.
I appreciate the information. I think that this is heading us in the direction that we need to go. The one concern I have, I would be prepared to make a motion for recommendation number 1 and item number 3, but would prefer that we defer discussion on number 2 until we've had a chance to have those formal conversations with our urban partners, just because of the potential implications. And it's also my understanding that these would be additions to the agenda or to the 2026 budget as well. And so we'll have to understand what the impact is going to be by including those items in the budget. But if you're prepared, I would be willing to make a motion. We probably 3 separate motions.
Yes, please. So we
So-
could start with number 1.
So we just move that we provide a letter of support for the JEDC grant application submission for the Attracting Global Opportunities Local Impact Project.
And you can add the "and" just so there's a dollar amount.
Yeah, that's evident that we have to include it in the
Okay.
2026 budget.
And approve the 2026 budget for 9,750 from the Planning Development Economic Development Operating Budget as 25%. So Lane, you're good with all the words that are presented there?
Correct.
Okay. So at this time, you have an opportunity if you want to further discuss that motion. So with the read in motion, those in favor. That motion is carried.
Then a second motion that we approve pursuing collaboration with Economic Development Alberta to host the in-person course for economic development for elected officials on a date to be determined early in 2026, and extend invitations to the other Tabor Region partners.
Okay, any questions or comments on the read in motion? Those in favor? Okay, Councillor Turcado.
I'm going to give you the motion that the MD of Tabor endorse the application to the Alberta Government Northern and Regional Economic Development NRED grant program to complete an industrial park feasibility study and approve a 2026 budget approval of $100,000 for the Planning and Development Economic Development operating budget at a 50% matching project contribution. I'd also like to add that we will communicate this with our partners in joint economic development, our joint economic development partners, so that they understand what we're doing and the rationale behind it.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
I might just add that one of the tools that were given in these applications is to receive letters of support. We certainly could continue those conversations and move them to the next step to try to acquire letters of support to go with the application. And a lot of these programs, I'm not 100% sure on NRED, but a lot of times they'll accept the letters of support, because our deadline is the 28th of November for this application. So they'll receive them after the fact, as long as we've had those conversations with the municipalities. So we certainly can investigate that further.
When referencing letters of support, are you talking about our neighboring municipalities?
Yes, yeah, correct. The municipalities that were mentioned, the MD of or the town of Tabor, town of Vauxhall, and Village of Barnwell.
So if the deadline is November 28th, would the application need to include those letters of support?
Yeah, that is the piece. Some of the applications, as long as we reach out to the program and let them know that we're in the process of acquiring those letters of support, we'll have those conversations with the municipalities to address the topic and make sure that we've had the deep conversations on that to make sure that they're on board. And certainly if they are, and in addition to JEDC with representatives tonight, we'll be able to acquire those letters of support going forward. We have had these conversations over the years. I've had conversations with town of Vauxhall, with the Village of Barnwell, as far as looking at these types of opportunities. And so, based on those conversations, we would take it to the next level and try to acquire them from their councils.
But those would be verbal conversations.
Those were.
But would the letter of support be required with the initial submission of the application before November 28th? I'm just wondering if there's going to be enough time for those councils to have considered a formal endorsement of the project. I think that's going to be rushing, and I'm hoping that we can submit a letter of support subsequent to the November 28th deadline.
Yeah, that would have to be investigated. I'm not familiar with the NRED, whether they'll accept letters of support after the deadline. And so that's something that we will have to look at here today and make sure that we can do that. Just from their formalities of their program.
Any other questions or comments on this motion? So, yes,
So the actual wording for the motion then, it's expanded beyond what
yeah,
is
so
in here.
I will ask for it to be on the screen. We've just adopted that practice so that we don't, it's not just.
I added
oral.
an addition to the end there. We can communicate with our joint economic development municipal partners.
Councillor Takeda, I wonder if at the last one, just so that we don't miss the intent of the conversation that's happening here, share the aforementioned details with neighboring municipalities who are also members of joint JEDC. So the project has a positive regional impact.
Yes. And no want to make it longer than it needs to be, but should we name the municipalities instead of saying members of JEDC, or does it suffice the way it is?
It's just wondering if you need to list Vauxhall, Barnwell, and Tabor.
If you want to.
As long as it's understood, it's fine the way it is.
Members of the JDC.
Adequate. To ensure the project, that's fine. Are you good with the motion as presented? So
Yes, I am.
okay, I'll quickly read it in. MD of Tabor endorsed the application of the GOA Northern and Regional Economic Development Grant application to complete an industrial park feasibility study, approve a 2026 budget. Approve a 2026 budget approval for $100,000 from the Planning and Development ACTEV operating budget as 50% matching project contribution. Share the aforementioned details with neighboring municipalities who are also members of JEDC, so the project has a positive regional impact. So my only question is, Arliss, I heard you say that it was going to come from reserves. Does that language need to change, or?
Council can, if they would like in the motion, they could further specify that it be funded through reserves, and it will be done so, or proposed as such in the final budget. But
Well, the difference is we're using it reserves or we're using it as taxation
yeah. So when the final budget,
ultimately.
when the budget is presented, it'll be presented in the context of being funded through reserves. But if council wants to ensure that, they can add it to the resolution.
Definitely. Go ahead, and then I'll go to Mark. Sorry.
I'm wondering
I
if
might have said-
we should be looking at a minor revision here. So under the first part of it, Regional Economic Development NRED grant to complete or a regional industrial park feasibility study, so that it's not just being perceived as a municipal district industrial park. This is an industrial park that would have regional significance. Because I just am concerned that we're making a decision today, and we're asking for letters of endorsement or support for the project before those formal conversations have even taken place with our partners. And I don't want us to get too far out in front on this before those conversations have taken place. I understand that there's a November 28th deadline. We need to get the application in, but it's all how we sell that information and request support from our partners that's going to make or break it.
So I just want clarification. Town of Tabor has been involved in this discussion, and then the intent was to discuss with Barnwell and Vauxhall tonight, but has there been historical conversations about this potential?
The only historical conversation I can reference, again, between CAOs, I can't speak to councils, is during the development of, and council has yet to receive an update on it. They should be getting it in early 2026. The water wastewater servicing Highway 3 corridor study that's been taking place over the last 18 year or so. As part of that, we provided, I guess, some administrative perspective or willingness that potential shared industrial park facilities could be a result or could be serviced through that initiative. It's very high level. I don't know if it really adds much to this conversation, but it won't be a foreign topic, at least from an administrative level. Referencing it as a regional review or study doesn't worry me one bit anyway. So
Does Mover find that as friendly?
Yes, I'd like to also add a comment in that, this, even if we're successful in conducting this study, doesn't mean we're building a park. So I think the consultation, should we receive the grant funds, regardless of whether regional's in there or not, but also there'd be also a lot of interaction between the neighboring municipalities before we ever put a shovel to the ground. So I think having the study alone I don't think it provides any angst between us and our neighbors, in my mind.
Councillor Condor?
I just want clarification how these grants work. So if you apply for a grant, can you still go back and change your mind and not use it? So if we get it and we discuss with the other, whatever, something comes about it, can we not use it? Or once the ball's rolling, is it rolling?
yeah, I mean, if the partners were vehemently opposed to pursuing something like this, then council could make a decision to reject the grant funding approval.
Yeah, so we can discuss with them and still apply for it and say, we'll still discuss with you if you're vehemently opposed to it. We can revisit this so we can apply for it and get the ball rolling and still discuss it with them after the fact. And then
Yeah. To some of the points that were made today, for sure, maybe administration didn't take as much pre-planning as should have been happened beforehand, but becoming aware of it and the point in time in which we become aware of it and the deadline are sometimes quick. That being said, it's a good learning opportunity for myself to perhaps incorporate earlier, more pre-planning with our municipal neighbors on initiatives such as this. Definitely, I believe, and again, we're live streaming, so I won't be able to take my words back, but I do believe that there's an automatic assumption, at least over the last few years, that what we're doing from an economic development perspective is generally a regional approach. So again, I've got nothing formal in writing to demonstrate that, but it's just more so a sentiment that I can express.
I hate to be nitpicky on wording here, sorry.
It's okay.
Under the first and, I'm wondering if we could change and approve to and include a 2026 budget allocation. Because I think that it's not appropriate for us at this stage to say that we're approving this. We need to include it.
Mhm.
It's not going to be approved until we have approved
Yeah.
the actual budget.
Yeah.
On the last and. Okay, so it would and include,
So take out approval.
yeah, change that to include a 2026 budget allocation. And then, okay, correct there. And then on the second and share the aforementioned details on the project, which will have a positive regional impact with our neighboring municipalities who are also members of the Joint Economic Development Committee, period.
Yep. So the intent is, how I see, I better ask the mover. Do you see the intent as the same and find that friendly even with that many words?
Yes.
Okay, so the mover finds those changes, maintains the intent, so I don't, and friendly, so we don't need to have a amendment. So because of the changes, I'll read it in once more. Can still have discussion if you want, but if not, then we'll be ready for the vote. So that the MD of Tabor endorse the application to the GOA NRED grant program to complete a regional industrial park feasibility study and include a 2026 budget allocation for $100,000 from the Planning and Development, Economic Development operating budget as a 50% matching contribution, and share the aforementioned details on the project, which will have a positive regional impact with neighboring municipalities who are also members of the JEDC. Any further comments or questions? Those in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you, Caitlin. You've just added another tremendous workload to yourself, but that's excellent. This is a priority of council. Nine point two, Hamlet of Enchant and WWP application support.
Yeah, so this particular RFD was, or the topic outlined in the RFD, has been mentioned in some of the budget deliberations up to this point this year. This is ultimately just ensuring and wanting to make sure that council's aware of the grant application package that will be submitted to the Alberta Municipal Water Wastewater Program for this particular project. And Corey can speak to application submission timing, as well as the merits of the project, if council would like.
Thanks, Carlos. Yeah, so the application is virtually ready to go. The consultant has prepared it for us for submission. They will be submitting it on our behalf. We just need this council motion to be included in that application. One thing I will want to note in here is the bottom where it says subject to grant approval, the municipal contribution will come from the municipal district of Tabor's capital budget, reserves, debentures, or grants. We need to stipulate where that comes from, and I have confirmed with finances that our portion will come from grants. So when we make that, if you guys so make the motion, we just got to make sure that we say where our funds are coming from. And I'll answer any questions about the project that you have.
Just a question on how much oversubscribed this has been in the past, in previous years, or do we have any indication as to how much oversubscribed it has been?
I don't know the answer to that.
Since this has been discussed on a bus tour and in committee of the whole during budget, perhaps you could just highlight why this project is extremely important for the MD of Tabor and Enchant.
Yeah, for sure. So in 2025, we had a budget to dredge the landfill as part of a maintenance, or dredge the lagoon, sorry, not the landfill. Dredge the lagoon in Enchant. What we found is that the hamlet has expanded to the point that the lagoon is not sized correctly to treat the effluent that comes out of the hamlet. So we canceled that dredging project, and we utilized some of those funds to hire a consultant to do a feasibility study on exactly what our next moves are for that lagoon. And what they found is that a new lagoon is to be built outside of town, a little further outside of town. There's no available land in close proximity to our current lagoon to expand it efficiently anyway. So we own some land to the north of the landfill. That's where they're proposing to put the new lagoon, and a lift station would need to be put in place of the current landfill, or current lagoon, sorry.
For that explanation.
I have one question I didn't ask at committee of the whole and just thought of it now. Operating costs of a lift station, what are the implications annually and for project replacement? And would that, so should you need a new lift station, could that also be grant applied as well? So I guess there's a couple questions in there.
Yeah. So the lift station is included in this project. So as part of the $8 million, it includes the new lift station. Operating costs, I don't know those. We currently have a lift station in Enchant right now. So it'd just be an added item that the hamlet operator would have to look after.
So these lift stations all have to have a generator backup as well for when the power goes down and that kind of stuff?
That's right.
Okay, if there's no further questions, then we could ask for a motion on this. Councillor Reynolds?
I can give you the motion. I'm not sure if I want to read all that, but we can add into at the end, MD's contribution will come from grant.
Okay, so Councillor Reynolds is moving it. I will read it in. The MD of Tabor supports the submission of a 25-26 Alberta Municipal Wastewater Partnership Program grant application in support of the Hamlet of Enchant Lagoon Upgrade Project, and is prepared to manage the grant project and related compliance requirements. The estimated project cost is up to $7,960,000, phased over 2 years. Based on the hamlet's official population of 259, the estimated eligible project cost would be calculated under a 75% provincial grant, $5,970,000, and 25%, $1,990,000 municipal contribution cost share arrangement. Subject to grant approval, the municipal contribution will come from the Municipal District of Tabor's grants. It is anticipated that the commitment will be phased over 2 fiscal years from 2027 to 2028. Any questions or comments on the motion? Those in favor? That motion is approved. just when you're ready, letter of support to the town of Vauxhall.
Bryce, do you want to speak to this?
Yep, just 1 second. So similar in nature, the town of Vauxhall's identified an NRED application, as we previously mentioned. Each municipality has an opportunity to submit an application under the NRED program to further some of their economic development type initiatives. This is an example of a letter of support that is being requested from the MD of Tabor in support of a project for the town of Tabor, or town of Vauxhall downtown revitalization, a film festival study. So this is a project that they've identified, and so again, in the spirit of regional economic development, in alignment with our regional economic development agreement that we entered into, and along with the JADC, we've continued to support these types of projects, and it's been put in front of council to support it in the form of a letter of support, as mentioned.
Okay, any questions on this requested letter of support? And if not, we could have the motion made.
I can motion that the municipal district of Tabor approves providing a letter of support. Oh, sorry. I move that the municipal district of Tabor approves providing a letter of support to the town of Vauxhall in their application to the government of Alberta's Northern and Regional Economic Development Program for a Vauxhall downtown revitalization and film feasibility study.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions on the read-in motion? Those in favor? That motion is carried. Nine point 4, Regional Emergency Advisory Committee alternates, appointment and training.
So this particular RFD speaks to two matters. One, appointing alternates to the Regional Emergency Advisory Committee. And then secondly, arranging of emergency management training required of municipal elected officials. Oversight with respect to the organizational meeting is, while the Reeve was appointed as the member of the Tabor Regional Emergency Advisory Committee, there was a bylaw recently passed that requires 2 alternates be appointed as well. So that's what's being requested to be done at this point in time. Typically, the advisory committee meets at least a minimum. Will need to meet at least a minimum of once per year, and there's no particular set date or time. However, there may be, and I'll refer to Bryce for the current year's date, set, and time. That may be in place already.
It is in place currently, and I'll double check the date. It's been issued in our invite for.
So while we're checking the date, the alternates, will they attend the annual meeting or just in lieu of, as regular alternates do if the appointed member can't attend?
They would fulfill the typical alternate responsibility.
Okay.
If the appointed
Now,
member can't attend, they would.
Thank you. And then based on the region emergency advisory, do you have a preference? I recognize it's not included in the bylaw to have different locations in the municipality so that if something was going on in the north or the south, is that of concern or not really?
We can certainly take that into consideration. We'll bring that to the committee for when they do select their locations. Currently, the meeting on the 27th, which is this Thursday, is online. So it's being done through Teams to facilitate our project, but we certainly can consider that.
Yeah, more so I was, if the event that you needed something. So, okay, so really no. So we're just looking for alternates.
But to your comment, I would be happy to be involved just because Grassy Lake is, if there was a Anyway, I would like to know what's going on for my part of the municipality, because we're not close to Tabor. And it might be nice to have something from the north. So I wouldn't mind being an alternate.
Okay, so with that, I'll take a motion to go ahead. If you are ready.
Well, so that's one alternate. We're
Yeah.
needing two.
Yeah, we're gonna do two separate motions, so
Okay.
we can,
So is it clear, though, that the alternates only attend if the primary member is unable to attend?
yeah, that's what I heard from CAO Crofts.
But could we come if we wanted to, or no? We would be barred from attendance.
I don't think they would bar you from.
They're not gonna bar you from attendance, but I think it also just gets to be how many meetings can everybody go to?
Oh, for
So
sure.
this is more so, yeah, because we don't send alternates to any other committee. This is if the designate can't go, then can someone else go and then have enough backup that we're too deep.
Keeping in mind, it's a committee of council, right? So the
Absolutely.
same rules of the Municipal Government Act apply, so it's public meeting.
Yeah, so anyone could come.
Right.
So I'll move that Councillor Tory be appointed as an alternate member to the Tabor Region Advisory Committee as required by the Regional Emergency Management Bylaw number 2026.
Thank you. Any questions on the read-in motion of alternate Councillor Tory? Those in favor? It's carried. Are you, all right. Go ahead. Are you two doing rock, paper, scissors? Councillor Condor said he is available to be the alternate, so I'm available to go.
I can move that the municipal district of Tabor appoint Councillor Condor as the alternate member to the Tabor Region Emergency Advisory Committee and require under the Regional Emergency Management Bylaw number 2026.
Thank you. Any questions on the read-in motion appointing Councillor Condor as the alternate member? Seeing none, those in favor? Okay, and then the final motion that is looking for training. So do you want to speak to that?
So this is, there's a couple of options here. So required, it's required for elected officials for training within the 90-day window to receive training. It can be done online or it can be done in person. There's been in conversations with AEMA, they do provide it. It's 5 hour correction. A 5 hour. It is a 5 hour course, and it would provide some opportunities again in the regional aspect of emergency management, just to provide the opportunity for our neighbors as well, anyone who hasn't fulfilled that requirement as well, to participate here in Tabor or in Vauxhall or wherever the municipality chooses to host the course. And we would have to identify, just the method that we want to do the training, and then we could facilitate providing either links to the online training, or we would provide and coordinate a site that could be shared with our neighboring municipalities if council so desires.
Councillor Tory, Councillor Condor, are you interested in getting together to do the training, or is the online links your preference?
Sorry,
Oh, go ahead.
just to clarify, this isn't,
Oh, so
really
this is for
connected?
everybody.
this is for all of council.
Yes, sorry, my apologies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I think we did this my first term. We didn't, I don't know. if
So,
we
so
did
to
it.
answer their question for them, while they may not be interested, they're interested.
Yeah, I got it. And we're all required. We're all required. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Condor.
I prefer the online, and is the online one, you can come and go, like you can do an hour, pause it and come back. I would assume if it's online, I've done a lot of these courses where you can do an hour one day and do an hour the next day.
I'm sure there's flexible delivery. We'll make whatever's available to make sure we meet the requirements of everybody meeting that training requirement.
Go ahead.
I'll give you the motion that the municipal district of Tabor approve pursuing collaboration with Alberta Emergency Management Agency to host an in-person local elected officials LEOA course in emergency management and extend invitations to other Tabor regional partners and allow those counselors that want to pursue this online to do so.
Perfect. Okay, any questions on the read-in motion? Those in favor? Thank you. Town of Vauxhall's wastewater ACP grant application.
So typically every year.
Oh, did I miss it? I went too far.
No.
Am I on the?
You're good.
Okay, good. Please go ahead.
So every year there's usually an onslaught at a certain time of Alberta Community Partnership grant applications that are taking place. This one is with respect to the town of Vauxhall being the managing partner of the particular project. This one is specific to looking at, I believe, their wastewater infrastructure, and then for the purposes of the grant application, looking at it from a regional perspective on how it might, I believe the primary purpose is how it can best or better service town of Vauxhall with potential regional synergies for the neighboring areas or the surrounding areas of the MD of Tabor. But I'll let Corey add any detail that I might have missed.
No, I think you got everything there, Arliss.
Council, do you have any questions?
No funding requirement from the MD of Tabor.
So with that, we could ask for the motion to be read in. Councillor Condor.
Make the motion that the District of Tabor support the town of Vauxhall's submission of the 2025-2026 Alberta Community Partnership Grant application to support a regional water treatment feasibility study project, and that there is no matching contribution required.
Thank you. Any questions on the read-in motion? Those in favor? It's carried. So I would propose we take a 5-minute break and take the time to read the RFD on the next item, and then so we'll come back at, let's take a little longer, this 10:45 we'll resume, and that will give people time to read the added RFD. Okay, so the next item is the Town of Tabor Regional Regional Wastewater Alberta Community Partnership Grant Application.
So this particular um, item is a Alberta Community Partnership application again, with the proposed managing partner being the Town of Tabor. A little bit of history and context here is with respect to, this kind of originated from the village of Barnwell getting to a point with their wastewater treatment capacity, wastewater capacity near or at being full. And this is looking, I guess, in more detail at how it potentially can be serviced regionally through the wastewater treatment plant in the Town of Tabor. And then given that the MD of Tabor is on the way, or in the way, in a good way, I guess you could say, there could be some potential opportunity for servicing portions of the MD of Tabor as well. So this looks at, from a high level, big picture perspective, from the MD of Tabor's perspective, this looks at potential regional services or regional collaboration with respect to wastewater services, and provides a little bit of additional opportunity for the town to better understand how it can impact their infrastructure if it were to receive Village of Barnwell, or potentially some MD of Tabor servicing.
Thank you. Any questions on this motion for letter of support?
I'll make a motion that we proceed.
Okay, the motion is that the MD of Tabor supports the Town of Tabor's submission of a 25-26 Alberta Community Partnership Grant application in support of the Regional Wastewater Implementation Plan project. There is no matching contribution required. Any questions? Those in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you. So we have two items now on the consent agenda. The first one being the Alberta Electoral Boundaries Commission update. So the community are invited to submit their comments, as well as a municipality. We have the opportunity to share our opinions on the electoral boundaries. So Arliss, if you can just kind of explain to us.
So the map that's before council here, again, accessible through the link in the correspondence section, is the current provincial electoral division that services the MD of Tabor. And then clicking or toggling interim option A, I'll go off. Oh, sorry. It's represented. It's kind of a tricky, sorry, having issues here. Tricky map here. Interim option A being presented as such, and then interim option B being presented as such. And I guess I can, let me just do them individually. And then you can overlay all current and then both interim options as well.
So currently the MD of Tabor is served by Tabor Warner, which is MLA Hunter, Associate Minister Hunter, and the Cardston Siksika, which is Minister Scow. So it presents significant differences from the original two boundaries to option A and option B. So since we haven't had much time to discuss it, I'm wondering if we shouldn't take this away and have a motion to have a further discussion on at a future meeting on whether or not we would like to do a written submission to the Boundaries Commission. Go ahead.
I'm going to give a motion to maybe bring this back to the December 16th council meeting. That way we'll be able to provide a written submission to the, I think it's the December 28th deadline. But I'd like everyone to, I guess all councilors to have a look at this. Would it be best to have communications through email or through shared notes on this to come up with a letter that we could approve at that meeting? What would be the best way of doing that, Arliss?
So hopefully I'll eventually get to an answer for your question, but just to share whatever I guess is generated out of any sort of council direction. I guess administration would be just looking for clarity on what's expected of them. My perspective, and maybe I'm being a little too neutral, but from an administration's perspective, we would be very hesitant to take any sort of position as to what is or what should be, etc. We would hope to just provide information, which I believe is already accessible through this website. And any sort of kind of correspondence would probably be best suited coming from that political arena, being council,
So,
in terms of what, if they have a official position, united.
and we may not have a united position. Go ahead, Councillor Takeda.
So
and then
maybe I'll make the
committee of the
motion
whole.
that as soon as the agenda comes out, that someone, or even before, a councillor draft a motion that might be accepted by the, proposed at the December 16th meeting as a correspondence. And then allow for engagement in shared notes about that RFD, if that works. If everybody understands what I'm saying, or maybe I'm making everybody confused, including myself.
Potentially in an effort to facilitate council's cooperation on this, if they wanted to pursue something, council could perhaps designate a couple of councilors to get together and prepare a proposal for council's consideration for the next council meeting. Again, I'm just spitballing at ideas. I just don't see it as a, first, I think council, it would be worthwhile for them to determine whether they feel the municipality should have an official position on it, period.
Yeah, so since we have a mechanism, like whether we want to set up a subcommittee, that would be an option, or whether we set aside 20 minutes at a committee of the whole that we have scheduled for the 2nd or the 9th to determine that. But I'm not opposed to a committee structure, but it's tough to do a committee and then bring it, it's still a debatable item. I'm not sure if everyone has an opinion, and it may be that the MD of Taber, just this is an awareness. So, Councillor Tory?
I know nothing about this, but it would be interesting to have some initial thoughts, because I'd like to go and talk to some people, but I'd like to have intelligent questions to ask, like, what are the concerns? I mean, obviously it's a huge change. You know, there's massive change, but what are the implications that you've already thought about? Do we have a couple minutes to just tell us a couple things that you're concerned about? Because I don't even know what to talk about yet.
Deputy Reid?
I'm thinking it would be appropriate for us to also reach out to Minister Scow and Associate Minister Hunter and get some input from them as well as to what they see the challenges being with what's been proposed.
And both of them have been quite vocal about it, so I don't think it would be difficult for us to obtain that. It's just the approach that we want to take, and because we're on a timeline.
Do we like the idea of being serviced by only one? If it looks like bringing Vauxhall, I mean, anyway, is that a problem, the way we've been represented by two different people?
So we definitely have leveraged the benefit of having two MLAs, you know, and that's been good for us. And so whereas some others feel like maybe that isn't, but for the MD of Taber, we have definitely benefited from two MLAs, especially as active as they both are. And I think one of the concerns I have is not just related to the MD of Taber, but in Alberta, the geographical increase of rural ridings. And, you know, because if we do representation by population, we will lose out our voice in the rural. I am more concerned that, that becomes an issue of these boundaries. And the new ridings are in the urban centers in Calgary and Edmonton.
I'm personally opposed to the suggested changes because it makes it way too big and they're eliminating too many rural ridings with the changes that are presented. That's my biggest opposition to it. It just makes our riding way too large and non-reflective of the people within the riding.
Do we have much of power to make a difference in this decision?
Seemingly so, like they've done the first round was the public engagement and they went all across the province. Then they put forward the proposed boundaries and now there is the timeline for individuals or groups to give comment on their proposal, and then the committee will go back and reflect and then make the final recommendation to cabinet. Then it'll go to, go to the legislature. Go ahead.
Federally, this took place a couple of years ago, and there was so much opposition to it that they left them.
Well, there was a bit of change. So I guess what we want to do is decide, do we want to take a bit of time to review them individually and see if we can come back with a consensus? And maybe the answer is we'll just deal with it individually, but how would you like to handle this? We had one recommendation to reach out to Minister Scow and Associate Minister Hunter. So would you like to add this to, we have a motion on the floor to deal with this at upcoming council meeting, which is December 16th. But I wonder if we should allocate some time at committee of the whole, just to give us a bit more time.
And to confuse it even more, maybe we shouldn't submit a council. I don't know what the best is. I don't know if the impact is better individually, providing if 7 of us are to provide our comments individually prior to the 28th. Is there more impact in that, or is there more impact with the municipality? I'm not sure what gives more impact, and maybe that could be through discussion with the 2 MLAs as to what they see being the best way forward.
So I always think giving individual feedback is the beauty of our democracy. So if you are so inclined, but the reason that I asked for this to be on and we received the email is because the MD of Taber made a presentation to ask for the opportunity to provide input with the new proposed boundaries. So it's a follow through from a motion that we already have on the floor that we attended, we presented, and then we received the information. So I think right now, Councillor Turcato, your motion is to provide feedback at council. I didn't write it precisely down, but I wonder if it should go to committee of the whole to determine if we're going to recommend to council.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
So instead of hopping right to council, we could go to committee of the whole. Yeah, if we waited till the 9th, I know we've slotted that for a sole item, but if council was willing, we could add that to it. And by that time, we could have reached out to Associate Minister Hunter and Minister Scow to get some feedback. Okay, that's
Does that- I would change the date to December 9th.
So is December, but December 2nd is our original committee of the whole, right?
December
Like
9th is.
December 9th. So the
Regular-
second
regular
is priority. Okay, I think let's leave it as the 9th then, if you're good with that. Yeah. Otherwise, are you good with the motion?
Yes.
Okay, that council direct administration to include the Alberta Electoral Boundaries Commission correspondence as an agenda item for the December 9th Committee of the Whole meeting in order to facilitate preparation of a council written submission in response to the matter. Any questions? Those in favor? That motion's carried. Okay. The next item is the Old Man Watershed Annual Report and the annual membership fee.
Just a second here.
Yep, no problem.
Question I had, these items haven't been included in the budget on an annual basis in the past?
Some years this particular one has, some years it hasn't.
Okay. Is there,
There's room likely for,
okay, has the Bow River Basin Council reached out as well?
not to my recollection, no.
Have we been represented on that organization in the past?
As far as I know, no. But
Okay.
doesn't mean it, we haven't in the past, like, that's only 5 years or 6 years.
I guess I think there's probably value in being involved with this organization, and I certainly don't think it's inappropriate for us to fund to the level that they have requested. If council's prepared to support a motion for that, I would certainly recommend that we include it in our budget.
Where is it? Sorry.
Yes, so the recommendation is 49 cents per resident, totaling $3,888 for 7,934 residents. So there's a proposed motion. We'll just wait to see if the mover is good with that.
I don't even think it needs to necessarily reference the 2026 budget.
Okay,
Like, if council wanted to forward those funds now, they could.
If council's open to discussion on it, I would just suggest that we include this in the budget annually going forward, and then it doesn't have to come back for consideration each time they submit.
Councillor Takeda.
So the rationale for going in and out by the MD of Tabor is some of the statements and literature provided by this the Watershed Council has been really poor when it comes to irrigation. And so that's why there's been in and out by it. And they don't seem to be reflecting rural realities. And they've gotten a little better over time, but in my mind, they're not. And the representation doesn't seem to affect that. Whether we're in or out doesn't change their language. There's been a lot of rural municipalities that have done similar to us that have been in and out of this because it seems to be driven by a demographic of people that aren't agricultural people.
So I'll just speak to that. So the year that we, MD of Tabor, chose to not participate, there was a derogatory comment on irrigation. But following that, we met with the Old Man Watershed Council representative. They came to our meeting. We had a good discussion. And we know that there are projects that have happened in the MD of Tabor. And I felt and the reason I've been in favor of supporting the Watershed Council, because they have improved their language on irrigation and an understanding that irrigators are also major conservators of water. They want to keep clean, good water for their crops, for their communities, for the environment. It was It wasn't a great statement, which is why we did some work with them. We do have a local representative, not associated with council, Mr. Hank de Vlieger. He's well aware of agriculture and the industry that it supports in southern Alberta. So I would, if this motion is made, be in support of this and on an ongoing basis, and it is up to us to improve that relationship with Oldman Watershed.
I concur with that. Do we, I should go back to the organizational meeting minutes. Do we have formal representation on this board?
No, I don't think so.
No, we do not at this time. We have at different times had an appointed member of council, and at one time, Reeve Brian Bruin was their chair. And so we were very involved, and then there were some changes over time.
Because I'm wondering if we need to have further conversation about the possibility of the MB being represented formally on the board. In my mind, if you've got an organization that doesn't understand or appreciate the role of irrigation in southern Alberta, rather than withdraw, we need to be more deeply involved and make sure that that message is being clearly and strongly communicated to the fullest extent possible. And I would like to see us get involved to make sure that there's no misunderstanding on the role that irrigation plays in the economics of southern Alberta.
So at this time, would you like to move the motion, and you had said on an annual basis, and then a second motion to investigate the possibility of MD of Tabor's role on the Oldman Watershed Council? I prefer to keep those motions separate.
That's fair. Let's go ahead with this motion. Move that council approve the contribution requested and included on an annual basis in the budget going forward.
Okay, so the motion reads that council approve the contribution requests from Oldman Watershed Council in the amount of $3,888 based on 49 cents per resident, and direct administration to include this contribution in the annual budget. Any further questions or comments on the motion? Those in favor? That motion is carried. Do you want to make a motion about investigating that, or we'll do some research on our own and have it come forward at a future council meeting? It's up to you. Okay, go ahead.
And can we know when the next meeting is? It'd be, as a community member, we could just go to a meeting, right?
Absolutely.
And then just kind of get a feel for the, you know, what is the environment like there? And so I wouldn't mind going to their next meeting just to get a feel for what their agenda is and what their.
So council, just so that we can send Councillor Tory in an official capacity, he won't be sitting on the board, but he could go and do some investigation. We could make a motion to authorize Councillor Tory to attend an upcoming, I'm not going to say the next one in case you're scheduled, but
Right.
an upcoming Oldman Watershed Council meeting. So Councillor Reynolds moves that Councillor Tory attend an upcoming Oldman Watershed Council meeting and report his findings back to council. Okay, if you don't need to see it in writing, it's quite straightforward. Any questions? Those in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you for offering to do that, Councillor Tory. All right. Before I go to number 11 on my paper copy, have we covered all of the items on the agenda? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. So council requests for information and motion. Any at this time? Seeing, oh,
Is this where I would ask about raw water kind of stuff, or I gotta get a letter in and all that for Grassy Lake? Request for information.
yeah, you could ask for that now, but if you would rather flush it out so we really know what you're looking at, I think that's,
Perfect.
Because on that topic, I don't think it's just raw water for Grassy Lake. I
That's-
think there's other developments where we should, if we're going to be considering the installation of raw water irrigation systems, working with the property owners, there's other areas that we need to include as well. So I would suggest that we initiate the conversation with whatever other agencies and/or information gathering that's going to be required to facilitate a future discussion on that.
so Deputy Reeve, is that a motion to begin?
I think Councillor Tory is prepared to make that motion.
Okay, so Councillor Tory, you're ready to make a motion to begin research and conversation with necessary agencies to explore raw water provision.
Is this raw water? I mean, I know it's one and the same, but raw water, or are we talking residential irrigation with raw water?
That
Yeah, residential irrigation with raw water. Yep.
residential irrigation. With raw water. Okay, I'm gonna wait till we have something, so to begin research and conversations with okay, you guys are working on it, okay, Councillor Chikado.
Is this a task for administration or for some of council?
Well, I want to be involved if I can. I'm not sure if there's a way to collaborate together.
So definitely it has to come through, like, I think if you have an idea for a proposal, you would bring that to council maybe. But the research, the conversations with those agencies would be facilitated through administration, not by council. We would not be doing legwork out front. Gets us into a whole other realm. And right now, like the timing of this, there's a side of me that says we should almost have initial conversations with SMRID and BRID to determine if it's a possibility. I think that's the first step, and find out what the costs are.
Mhm.
So, and then we could be involved in those meetings with their board and our council, rather than just doing research and costing it and engineering. Like we should find out if it's even a possibility through those water providers.
I agree 100%.
So maybe we change okay.
Hack and adjust as you see fit.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in doing this. The concern that I have is that there's several other urgent priorities that administration is working on right now, and if we throw this into the mix, it's just going to create more burden that needs to be dealt with right away. And I'm wondering, as much as I'm interested in moving ahead as quickly as we can, we need to be aware of that reality. Would it be better for us to have a conversation on this and other priorities when we get together at the end of January for our strategic planning
Perfect.
session?
Yeah.
And then that way they don't have to spend time
Yeah.
working or thinking about this one at all right now, just knowing that it's a possibility for the future.
So would you rather your motion read that council add to strategic planning discussions the possibility of residential irrigation with raw water.
Excellent.
So
So,
we can facilitate any motion that council
Yeah.
wishes.
so I heard perfect. So we're gonna change this motion that council direct administration to include in the strategic planning discussions the possibility of residential irrigation with raw water.
Again, I don't want to inappropriately intercede,
That- Yeah,
but could it just be as simple as Councilor Tory, bring your ideas to strategic priorities as well as the rest of council, and then
Yeah.
we'll have that discussion there.
yeah,
Sure.
we're not looking for research on this. We're
Right.
looking for
I
a
get that,
discussion
but
point.
even the need for a resolution at this point.
Okay, well, if you're good with that, it's just that we so often hear that I'd like,
I guess where I'm coming from is in preparation for strategic priority planning, I didn't anticipate to set points of agendas through resolutions. I'm just expecting, and we'll communicate that to council, that you come with your ideas and your priorities for discussion. And then once those strategic priorities are fleshed out, discussed, brought to the table, then council as a whole, in council meeting, will adopt their strategic priorities and whatnot. So I don't want to, again, I feel like I'm probably confusing the matter, but I just think it's as simple as bringing these ideas, not just this specific idea. I know all of council's going to have some ideas and priorities to that planning session.
The raw water is good, but also everybody's got to, because I was on the town of Vauxhall, there's a set price to produce the water for the hamlets and like the towns from these stations. So that cost is going to increase to all them in the hamlets and that for your house and that for the other water. Because a lot of these costs with the waters it's fixed. So if we use less water for irrigating grass, it is definitely going to drive up the cost to run your house.
thank you. Okay, so the preference, and so we've tried to get 2 different motions on the floor, but it's up to you if you want to just withdraw. and
Yeah, I'll just
It's
withdraw.
understood. Okay. Okay,
But I guess the message I want to convey to council is to bring all councilors, to bring your ideas such as that to strategic priority planning.
okay, thank you. Any other requests for information and motions? We've covered all the agenda items. One last motion.
Number 12, the motion to adjourn.
Thank you.